he says there at the end he doesn't know whether he has a part in the future of the royal family. I think it's quite a strong feeling today that he's done himself a mischief, that he's kind of burned his boats with the book, that this has gone that extra mile. What's your feeling?
Well, I think it's far more than mischief. I think it's a huge amount of damage that he has caused the royal family. It's not a constitutional crisis. Prince Harry is now a peripheral figure within the royal family. He stood down as a working member, but he retains the title of the Duke of Sussex. And it's interesting that comment he makes to Tom Bradby, and I'm going to be very interested to watch this interview tonight because Tom is a brilliant interviewer. He's a brilliant journalist. I think there's a lot of frustration that they haven't really been asked challenging questions in the Oprah interview. There weren't enough probing questions, I think, in a lot of people's opinions.
I would say none at all.
Well,
you think Tom's going to do something?
I hope so. I hope so. And it's interesting to see him ask Harry if he believes in the institution of monarchy, and Harry is very quick to respond to say yes, and yet he doesn't seem able to see the damage that he is causing the institution. So it's not a constitutional crisis, but it is very damaging to the monarchy on the international stage.
I understand this interview may have been done some time ago. I just have this image of Prince Harry now with his head over his hands because the response in Britain, it seems to me, is from his point of view pretty disastrous. And
well, if he's reading the papers, Michael, and if he's keeping track, which I'm sure he is.
I think he must be.
I'm sure he must be.
But tell me, I know you're UK-based, but
I write for Vanity Fair, so I'm very in touch with the US audience too.
Do you think there's been a sea change in the way
Yes.
the Americans are perceiving it?
Absolutely.
And which Americans?
I think the younger generation of Americans are still quite behind Harry and Meghan. They loved the Netflix series. They feel that it's absolutely right that Harry and Meghan have their chance to tell their truth. I'm sure they will be poring over this autobiography. I think the older generation, I think the more traditional royalists who still love Prince Harry are concerned for his well-being. I've heard a lot of people say he must be unwell. What is going on here? We're worried about him. And then there are also a lot of older Americans who are saying what he's doing is absolutely wrong. We loved the Queen. We want to see King Charles celebrated at his coronation, and what he's doing to the royal family is wrong. So I think there is a mixed reception over in the US, and there is definitely a different reception amongst the age groups, but I think the tide is turning. And when you think back to Megxit, their return, well, in Meghan's case, her return to America, and for Harry, his welcome to America was really celebrated. America was hugely excited about this young, dynamic, glorious royal couple. I'm very proud that they were in California. But there is also a sense of what are they going to do next? Where are they going to go next? How long can they continue to sling mud at the royal family? Are we going to see them do anything?
What I see is a man destroying his own dignity. I mean, to talk about your private parts, to talk in, I think, a politically pretty incorrect way about how he lost his virginity, to talk about how many people he claims to have killed in Afghanistan. It took me back to when I was Defence Secretary. There was an unfortunate incident where a very senior officer betrayed some secrets in a book, and I had to tell him that he would no longer be welcome at the Special Forces Club. He was completely crushed. I mean, I can imagine Harry not being welcome on military premises, which is crushing.
He will be crushed by that. I mean, the military was very much his second family. I think when you look back at his military career, and of course he served two tours of Afghanistan, for my Harry book, my biography on Harry, I spoke to many people who had served with him in theatre in Afghanistan, and every person I spoke to said he was a brilliant soldier, that they loved Harry, that Harry put his life on the line for his people, his Queen and his country. And now that he has created such a backlash with that, frankly, unnecessary comment, one line could have been so easily taken out.
There are so many people out there who I suppose masquerade as his friends who are causing him this damage. You can imagine the publishers and the agents and so on.
And the ghostwriter who's taken a $5 million advance for all of this.